I have a new microphone here, one of the floating point microphones. So
Jesus
hopefully
Christ.
it is.
What the hell happened here?
I
No!
don't know.
God,
Is it?
chaos.
Is that's not Pele? Is that just the goblin there?
Both?
Oh.
It's both? Everything's on fire? That's just Canada right now.
Ah, God, no. No. Ah.
Do be like that. Oh, man. Happy 4th of July to Landon.
And happy 1st of July to our friendly neighbors across Trudeau's ditch.
Yeah, it's my sister's
Trudeau's
birthday
ditch.
tomorrow. So also happy birthday to my sister.
Ah.
That's okay.
You have Trump's wall to the south, but you have Trudeau's ditch to the north. And it's a ditch it's very cute. It's about a meter wide. It's got little
cute.
obelisks that go along the spot there. It's just right over there. But it is it's very, very cute. And people actually even, if you sometimes go up there, people will come by and meet and exchange stuff. I mean, like hot dish, or they'll have, somebody has some extra apples, and they'll go along 0th Avenue or Boundary Road, depending on which side of the ditch you're on. And
Canada does have a lot of apples.
Hey, if they say, hey, you want to blah, blah, blah. And I guess it's technically naughty to send produce across the border, but the way that people do it is they cook something and they sort of leave it there, like banana bread or apple fruit cake or apple pie or something like that. It's just
Whoops, I pressed the wrong button. There we go.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Well, that's
Hi,
because
there we go. Hi.
We're professionals here.
We're professionals, and I pressed the
Definitely.
wrong button. It's one of those days where we kind of logged in and every single one of us had technical issues.
Whoa.
What's
Here,
happening?
not
It's
a
almost, like we
technical
haven't, it's almost like we haven't done this for a month. Oh, technical issue. Maanyaa forgot to go get her coffee before we start. I forgot my coffee socks.
And you know what? I think I maybe want to look to see whether are we live on YouTube too?
Yeah, we're live.
Yes, we are live on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And
okay, so
the technical difficulty was I forgot my comfy socks. That's a huge technical difficulty. We cannot proceed without my comfy socks.
You know what? That's a great idea. I've got comfy socks.
Oh. Well, I got the lava light lamps doing their nice thing over there. You can see them. They're bubbling away, and I got my giveaway coffee mug.
Nice.
The ears stinging here.
What? Let's see.
Where are you? Where are you?
Ow! God. Oh my god.
Ouch.
Sorry.
It's Friday, guys. It's Saturday for Maanyaa, and apparently it's just
I'm already into the weekend now.
It's just gonna be one of those days.
Yes.
So welcome back.
So, well, how have you been? And happy Canada Day for those that celebrated, or other things.
Yeah, happy Canada
Long live
Day.
the king.
Happy 4th of July. The monarchy, I guess, is the general tag that goes along with that. We're not gonna have live chat coming up at the bottom today because for whatever reason it's just deciding it doesn't want to connect. So I'll fight with it later. There was also, I had some internet issues earlier today. I don't know. Hopefully we get through this without too much interruption, but we'll, see how it goes. So welcome back to Debate Hub. I'm Chesh, that's Maanyaa.
We go with
Landon.
the lava flow.
We go with the lava flow.
So
just don't go
so
where
we
the
had
lava flow.
On Canada Day, there were a few fireworks for a celebration, although I would say half of it were on the U.S. side of Trudeau's ditch that we saw. And then on the second, there's almost nothing. And on the third, which is actually the day the Declaration of Independence was signed but not announced, we actually had quite some good shows. Our neighbor, sort of the area leader, so his son is a professional fireworks person, and so we had a
that's cool.
fireworks show that was kind of a joint U.S. American thing that was quite spectacular. It lasted like almost an hour. It was right over us, which was nice. But I also broadcast it to Canada, to Australia, New Zealand, and even some friends in Antarctica, where their fireworks challenged at the moment. And then, of course, we had the 4th of July, which is the usual stuff. There, we saw about 20. I think count was 22 different fireworks shows. Although on the 4th of July, more of the fireworks shows were on the Canada side than on the U.S. side. I don't know what that means.
I couldn't tell you, man. There's Canada Day is not like nearly as explosive, let's say, than Independence Day and the way it's treated. Where at least where I am, there's usually like 1 or 2 shows, and then like a handful of people will do like a little bit of backyard stuff, but it's never anything like terribly huge, which is nice for me and my dog. I've seen people complaining, as always, about fireworks, and I don't really blame them.
Oh God!
I've also seen some.
There
really
have been
cool
fires.
drone
houses burning down.
So people are talking about replacing firework shows with drone shows. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that will be spectacular. Yeah.
Drone shows.
Yeah. So
they show
in India we have.
Go ahead.
In India we have an Independence Day and then a Republic Day. Independence Day when we got independent from England, and then the Republic Day when the Constitution was established.
I don't know what Maanyaa's done today, but she is very pretty today. I don't know what you did, but you look lovely today.
Maybe I had a bad
very Maanyaa. Very Maanyaa.
Landon's just beige fading into beige.
Fading into his chest of drawers behind him.
It had to go with the with the Kiwi mug.
Yeah.
Madam Pele thing. So
lovely.
Fantastic.
So we were wrong.
Yeah.
We bow in front of Madam Pele.
Why were we wrong? What did we all say unanimously?
Hold on. I got it. So, Shesh, we'll see more bumps, and then we will see her slow down more. I said, same as now with low frequency of earthquake. Landon, low sulfur dioxide emission levels, and they will go lower. Deflation and inflation events and there will be continued expansion of the mountains?
Probably summit.
Yeah. Active seismic summit, magma not on the move. Those are the keywords I wrote down.
So
not even close.
Yeah, things happen, and strangely enough, that was apt for when we had our previous show, and is apt for now, but things happen. So again, welcome to the Volcano Show, where we talk about volcanoes. We talk about and also what Madam Pele is doing, but also other volcanoes here. Should I share a screen? Would that be a
absolutely.
We have this technology here. Oop.
Might need to zoom that in for us just a little bit if you can.
So let me get this here. So let's go in for something. And if you've been to other volcano shows, you know one of the themes is that volcanoes are very common. Right? It's like saying it's rating someplace on Earth. Right now, there are 48 erupting volcanoes on Earth. And we've seen the number in the 50s. We've seen it in the low 40s. But that's sort of a typical thing of Earth. Right now, 48 volcanoes erupting. Many of them, Italy has its two. Iceland has a couple of things that are rumbling, but not much. You have the usual Ethiopia, during Congo, Reunion. You have
Indonesia
let's see.
usually
What is Indonesia doing? Indonesia is back up to 7
Oh wow.
erupting volcanoes with one that's with 2 that are unrest. So volcanoes, India is doing
If it
quite
makes you
well.
guys feel any better, I saw somebody posted in the Discord today about somebody who is denying that nuclear bombs exist. So I.
Yeah. I will point out that Iceland has currently a bunch of earthquakes and other things here. You can see this, this guy on the side where there's that similar sort of thing. Where here's Reykjavik, one of the major cities there, and there's a fault line with all kinds of earthquakes going on, but nothing erupting at the moment. North America has 2 in Alaska that are unrest. Central Mexico, Guatemala's 2, Nicaragua 1, Colombia, El Salvador, Ecuador, Peru. Of course, in Antarctica, Mount Erebus is under continuous eruption. We have Kilauea, except that says wrong because they haven't updated their website. And Vanuatu, and in Philippines, let's see, there's Kamchatka, a couple, and I don't know. So lots of, if you look at this map here, where's the map? Lots of, the red ones are active, actively erupting, and the orange ones are, getting ready, and the rest of us are
It's
unrest.
kind of cool that they are consistently near the center of near the equator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would go through. There's certainly more tectonic activity in that region, but they're also along the continental lines, right? This is kind of if you start looking at here, you'll see they're along these continental plate boundaries where there's lots of earthquakes. And
that makes
who's
sense.
that? Oh, there's and so as you can see that we're in a very earthquakey. Of course, here is Indonesia and that region where they got lots of earthquakes. So that's the thing. So earthquakes earthquakes and volcanoes are quite common. We focus most on the volcanoes with 48 erupting. Now, the usual thing sometimes happens. People ask about a Yellowstone volcano. And the show notes, I believe, is that right? There's a video on Yellowstone won't explode.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat as well.
Yellowstone, don't watch it now. Watch it later. And it does have various puns, which may or may not be considered safe for your runway. But if you ever represent it is a humorous thing, which essentially says no, Yellowstone is not going to end civilization. Yellowstone will probably not erupt in your lifetime. In fact, there's been an argument going on that Yellowstone is quieting down, that the hotspot is moving beyond the region, and that the supervolcano just won't do its thing. So the next time the So-Called History Channel does their rating sweeps and tries to get where they quote mine people who say that if the Yellowstone volcano went big, boom, bad things would happen. And we also know, for example, that there have been very significant eruptions, such as one about 70,000 years ago, that didn't kill off all life and so forth. We had the Maanyaa form Crater Lake eruption. We had significant eruptions, and these things haven't done in civilization. Yellowstone is not anywhere near even producing lava, and in fact, if anything, it may not even geologically get to the point of building the caldera and collapsing again. So, when people say, "What about Yellowstone?" Yellowstone's a nice park to go to. They have nice thermal pools and geysers, and it's a fun place to go. But
there's also that keeping in mind that volcanoes are not permanent. They move, they shift. The magma underneath can go from one chamber to a whole other chamber somewhere else, and it could be miles away. So
Yep. And so after the show, if you want to watch this video, I think the person, while they introduce a bunch of puns of the things there, they cite some I think some very accurate data where it says, nah, Yellowstone. In fact, I agree that there's people who geologists who think and volcanologists who think that we should remove the so-called super volcano status from Yellowstone and tell the History Channel to get a life. But, okay.
Oh no, maybe go back to studying history. Aliens.
Yeah.
If you're interested in seeing Landon,
They always come to America.
Yeah.
Always come to America.
If you want to see Landon mocking the History Channel, I recommend you go look at that video with Dapper and Landon on the channel that is available.
Yeah.
It just tears right into him.
And it kind of depends upon how. I mean, I have no idea what Dr. Tyson did with his super volcano stuff. There,
oh boy.
Or this, America's Armageddon, all stuff. Don't. It is unlikely that we'll have a major magmatic event in your lifetime. It is actually unlikely that Yellowstone will actually produce a caldera collapse system to hit anything even close to VEI 8. So,
barring divine intervention.
Yeah. Now there are volcanoes that can do go big boom, but Kilo is also not one of them. It's had a couple of events in the past, but it is a very nice non-cranky volcano. And on the 7th, when was our show? When was our show?
Which one? A last show?
Last one.
Yeah. Was it the 5th?
I didn't write the date for some reason, man.
Hold on, I'll get it.
Third of June?
I got it. Streamed 1 month ago. It was streamed on June 2nd.
Oh, that was third for me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So
yes.
On the morning. So let's focus on Kilauea. So on the morning of the 7th, around 4 in the morning,
beautiful.
This thing started where all of a sudden it went poof, and quite rapidly this is a few seconds to the side where a second one showed up.
This is right after we were done our show. Bitch!
Oh yes! Yes! Oh my goodness!
And you look at this thing here. This is quite an event there, where what it was doing was starting off with a small event, and then more and more joined, and this is filling the entire lava lake area quite quickly. And here's a movie showing the very, very beginning. So it was, if you see there, it would have been dark at the time, and this is what you would have seen. So the camera sort of is squinting in the dark, and then all of a sudden, ooh, what's that bright light?
Wow.
Oh, and
then there was
these
light.
Fountains now are this fountain is about 150 meters high.
What?
About or so. So it's a big
wow.
Right, and of course it's coming out in one spot. So this is and you can see the height of the lava lake pit as it is now, reaching up in the middle, but to the top of the set, really going. So now I should mention that the tilt meters were going along like we said, it's sort of mild stuff, and then the tilt meters
Landon
went
is literally
off
singing
the charts.
Was 0 to 100.
Off the charts in terms of now. This is very typical of beginning on Eruption, where as it widens, that it doesn't force it through a small straw. It starts to low.
The pressure is spread out further rather than very narrow.
Yeah, physics. Who would have guessed? Um,
What did I do to you?
no.
I'm kidding.
I'm agreeing with you.
I know.
Okay.
I'm teasing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I will blame Dapper. You know, I was binge watching Dapper Dino with people that.
It's Dapper's fault. Hashtag go next time you're over on anybody in the chat who's frequents Dapper's channel. If you don't frequent Dapper's channel, you should. But next time you're there, just tell him it was his fault.
Yes. So here's so look at this. This was going on in the morning. So this was when I woke up in the morning.
Wow.
To see stuff here going on here. So you can see now that there's all kinds of number of fountains here, but also the center of the lake is getting full of lava, right? It is getting it's getting so much lava in the lake that it covered by the morning. It had covered the entire lake, 100 plus wide with over 10 meters of lava. And over the first 24 hours, this is probably going to be go down in the wow, I didn't know Kilauea could do that. In the first 24 hours of the eruption, the average rate over that 24 hours was 150 cubic meters a second.
A second.
Now, a second, right? Now, for those that are metrically challenged, that is if you're metrically challenged, go metric. That is 40,000 gallons a second of lava. Put it together, 40,000, or if you're into liters, that's 150,000 liters of lava a second, average over 24 hours.
And as we need to know, what is that in megapints?
Well, in megapints, that is a third. If a megapint is 1,000,000 pints, I know there may be a court case that disputed that, but if a megapint is a 1,000,000 pints, that is a megapint every 3 seconds. That's average over 24 hours, right? So when it started doing this stuff here, it was well exceeding the that volume, right?
April out here asked how many washing machines. The joke will never get old.
Well, let's think about this. If you think is the interior of a typical washing machine about a cubic meter? Would you?
Sure, we can agree to that. So
that would be 150 washing machines per second.
Just flying into the sky.
Not at the
very beginning. For washing
very beginning was actually much higher. That was averaged over 24 hours.
Not making a washing machine emote. I'm not doing it.
So again, think about that. Think about that. This kind of a system, right? And you see this thing here with this system that the lava lake quickly filled where the actual lava lake rose. Very matter of a couple hours, 10 meters, where this material came out. And what you found going on later in the day was that there was so much lava on top of the lava lake that the fountains were having a hard time getting up through 10 meters of liquid rock. So the fountains started going down in their height, but it was a spectacular swimming around stuff here. And we
don't swim in lava. Obligatory.
Yes. Don't walk on it.
Do not. This channel does not endorse people who want to swim in lava. Don't do it.
I'm not necessarily going to stop you. Yeah. However, I will not be held responsible.
Yeah, sure.
Your discretion is advised.
And besides, we went over the physics thing of if you tried to jump into this thing, you would just sit on top and kind of burn until you got into one of those stasis that sucked you down, and then you would crisp you. crucified.
You would look like
yeah.
Darth Vader at the end of The Last Jedi.
I think it's worse than that.
Yes,
if I'm wrong.
or you would look like the you would look like the Star Wars franchise at the end of Disney. Oh, did I say that?
At the end of the Disney deal.
Oh god.
Oh my god. The savagery coming out today.
Anyway, so this volume of this volume of a material in excess average in excess of 500,000 meters an hour is a type of thing we're usually seeing for Mauna Loa. The big mountain, when it does erupt, it erupts with fuses. So people were quite surprised at the volume that came out just in the first day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Now, if you looked at the sensors, you would have seen, as we saw, and we were calling it identified correctly, that there was deflation, inflation events, and there were lots of seismic activity, but there was no gas coming out. What should that have told you? Well, it's not that there's no gas being created. There was boiling. The boiling was going on down subsurface, where the gas under pressure has been condensed to liquid, and that liquid is reaching the boiling point. As pressure lowers as you get closer to the surface, it reaches boiling point, and the physics starts. But we did not see a gas reaching the summit, right? Because there was this rock crust, and all it took was for the gas pressure to reach the point where it could break through the rock of the previous eruption that had kind of crusted over and pour out this material. The telltale signs again were that there was plenty of earthquakes. Why were there earthquakes? Well, because you had magma boiling and creating bubbles, and that bubble pushing pressure on rock, cracking it. But you didn't see any. There wasn't any gas release at the top. It wasn't gas venting, and that was a sign. And then a couple hours just prior to this eruption on the morning of the 7th, the tilt meters took off, where essentially that's where the blister, the gas blister, is causing the rock to deform. And as soon as it pushed to the point where the rock cracked, the material could then start coming out. And as it comes up to the surface, pressure drops, the gas boils, and you get foof. Now, at some point, Kilauea will become the new Mauna Loa in geologic terms, the big mountain. And so at some point, Kilauea has to have the eruption volumes to turn it into the next big mountain. So Kilauea should be capable of producing these types of eruptions. Right. It's just that it's not its usual mode at this point. This doesn't mean that it's going to grow to a Mauna Loa size anytime soon.
I can't imagine, especially with just how much movement there is, right? Like just how much, like continental drift there is. That the volcano is on the move, and it's been on the move for hundreds of years. So I can imagine it's staying in one place long enough to.
It would take Kilauea. Kilauea will take a couple 100,000 years before it grows to Mauna Loa size. It will do that, and so we should be expecting that on occasion it puts on shows like this. This one was pretty nice because it's in the Halemaumau caldera, so it didn't bother anyone. It created quite a scene. There was huge traffic jams going. I was disappointed that all the cameras and sensors worked. Because had there been a failure, I would have probably had an emergency flight over there that could use my bypass the line pass to say, sorry, you need to go and fix the cameras, da 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 da. But it is inside this pit, and there's very little that the sensors would be bothered by. So, but again, extraordinary show, just extraordinary show. Now, you might say this isn't boom in the Mount St. Helens
Traditional sense,
boom-like event, or the Krakatoa boom-like event, but it's I would say that's a pretty good foof. Or
yeah, I definitely call that relatively speaking to what Kilauea does. This is a pretty boom.
This is a pretty. Now, it's interesting, Chesh. Isn't the case that last show was sort of the first time where you did not predict that the volcano would go?
If you're gonna blame this on me, then yes. I was like, it's gonna blow, and then finally I was like, okay, fine, I guess it's not gonna blow. Landon was messaging us after the show about this, and I was just like, motherfucker.
Mother of God.
So yeah, I'm impressed on just how much material.
Madam, this is a Wendy's.
So if you look at the, this is at the morning. Let's see, this is at 6 a.m. right? So the eruption Hawaii time started at 4:43, and at 6 a.m. the entire lake rose by 10 meters, 33 feet.
This is all right after our show,
right? And you had so the. It started here, but it started going on all kinds of spots here. And in fact, at this point in the morning, like you see in this kind of picture, it becomes harder to figure out what's a fountain and what's just generalized Pele having fun. She was definitely dancing the cha-cha here. Now, remember, this is the drop-down block, or this is the pit that was formed from the collapse of the end of the Great 35.5-year eruption, which ended in around October 2018. When, if you see this spot down here, here's the Coil volcano, here's the summit. This had the two rift zones, and the magma went right, and so all those homes. There were almost a cubic kilometer of magma moved all the way down to the end and went out, right? That meant the summit didn't have a cubic kilometer of magma under it because it all went to the side. And this thing, over a period of weeks, fell in. Now,
it also appears that Gilligan's Island is currently not visible.
Yeah, it's swamped. Those islands are kind of swamp, but and because they had been sort of after the previous eruption had kind of ended and things kind of wedged and solidified together, it really didn't have the opportunity to detach and raft.
Could we please get an F in the chat for Gilligan's Island currently? R.I.P. Gilligan's Island. It might revive in 3 days though, so it's okay. So, just F in the chat for Gilligan's Island right now. Thank you. Bless.
And we start worshipping that island. Son of God.
So we still have a ways before this lava lake fills up, reaches the calderas level there. So it still has stuff, but remember, in the normal Kilauea geology or patterns, this would have been a magma chamber underneath this solid cap. This would have been a smooth cap over here, and this would have been a magma chamber underneath. It might have cracked open and put some lava flows inside, but this would not. We're seeing the top of what would otherwise have been a magma chamber. is part of the reason why Kilaue's behavior is so different. This would have been the magma chamber, which could have produced eruptions in some spot, but we're now seeing the rip-off cap inside the top of a magma chamber. All right. If you look at thermal maps, here's a thermal map showing you the various vents that were going on. Again, you know, the lake is full of hot stuff, and there's all kinds of vents. And these cracks were coming and going, you know, quite frequently and stuff. So it was a wash of vents and material. Again, that you think about that if the former lava lake was kind of a blister, the thing had expanded enough where the magma now is moving up, you know, into and on top of, sort of doing a magma turnover. Again, looking at in context, and you see here's a kilometer in size down here, and you can see that this is, you know, a kilometer and it's about a kilometer and a half wide by this way, by a kilometer, and it filled this thing 10 meters deep within a very short amount of time. And again, up by the 8th, a day later, there were still several events going here, but it kind of changed the nature of the lake. Actually, and the lake actually dropped in height. And the reason why the lake dropped in height was that the lava that came on the top was so full of gas. There was kind of like that fluffy bit on the top of the cake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and also and it had the fluffy bit on the display. Well, it's now outgassed, right? So this stuff was producing, and you know, the gas levels are coming out of this thing were, you know, I saw numbers were in the order of like 60,000 tons of sulfur dioxide a day. 60,000.
That's a lot.
It was really outgassing, and in fact, there was so much that the lava came out so quickly that it still was foamy stuff, and so even though more material came up into the lava lake, the material that was there sort of fizzed and souffled, if you will.
Yeah.
So
I would like to use this moment to remind everybody that volcanoes do not impact climate change in a significant way that would make this eruption problematic.
Major eruptions can temporarily impact weather, but
huge difference.
They don't.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's one of those physics science things that sometimes is inconvenient.
Yeah. Weather is a singular event confined to a particular place or region. Climate is your whole Earth. So please, get educated, guys. Get educated.
So we see that now that this, you know, if you look at the map had changed from this sort of thing where it's just a wash of all kinds of events to it's now focusing on specific channels coming up. And in fact, you look at the map on, you know, the 14th, you saw it started shrinking down to this zone here. And let's look at, for example, this fountain here showing you what happened inside the. So we have some movies of a camera that was trying to film on the side, but there was actually it turned out this trade wind really kicked up, and so it was become very, very windy, which is probably good because all that gas is being blown away to the potentially to the southwest, but
a little disperse along the way. Whoa!
Oh god!
0 to 100.
Oh wow! That is
and so what you're seeing is the lava pushing through about more than 10 meters of lava to fountains. So those fountains are really working hard at just trying to get above the top of the thing. It's basically drowning itself in in lava. And again, the heights of these sort of things is around, we're seeing things in the 10 to 20 meter, 30 to 60 feet high bloops. That's what a bloop. It's blooping. Here's a video showing you the time lapse of the first 3 days. So you see, look at how fast the material is flowing.
Yeah.
Over this hill right. You could tell, what's a day? Well, you see that there's a date down here. You can see the hour is ticking away.
That's the first day.
Sure,
Yeah.
we'll see
There's that island that's
ticking.
sort of.
Yep.
Wow.
We're looking towards
15,
Mount
16.
Loa. That's the big mountain in the back.
17.
It's like swirling like in circles. That's brilliant. Beautiful. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Wow.
See, now it's sort of shifted to the side. And this previous stuff that was crusted over is now not being filled as much.
The island's gone.
The material is being pushed up underneath. So there's still a lot of material coming up underneath. This stuff is crusty here, but it's not really an island anymore.
Yeah. That baby's gone. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Little thingy on the left.
Little nubbin.
Yeah, nubbin.
And so it's kind of stuff on the edges. Again, this is very soft material. You can see how much material is still flowing here.
It's fluid as hell. Wow.
Yeah. So that was 3 days. And again, spectacular stuff where that material was you get a bubble underneath that has difficulty working its way up through the deep lake of lava. And that bubble would rise, reach the surface and go pop. And you get occasionally these booms coming out of this material flying out as the bubble pops from the surface. Really spectacular photos. But again,
oh, wow,
see
that's
that
cool.
A lot of what was happening.
Wow, this
is mostly what lava looks like, right? This is very, very active lava that we've seen that material. But it only gets red when there's a quick movement.
I am 100% waiting for the pareidolia people to be like, look, it's dragon scales.
Yeah.
The dragons are back.
But the fractal patterns are really quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see
looks
that
amazing.
it's just, and again, this is just a little bit of crust over here as it's boiling away. And again, part of the cracking is because there's more magma coming towards the surface because the dissolved gases are coming out of solution and has to pop. But it's got this big cap of liquid rock on it to make it difficult for it to come up. So by the time we reached the 16th, we had this situation where it was mostly coming in this corner. This became a fairly curious bit of stuff. And what's happening in this corner? Well, we had up on the side, there was a it broke open and started creating this vent. And the vent on the side turned into a splatter cone, which started pouring down.
Oh, cool.
And in fact, now, remember that one of the things we talked about is wood, we're back up here. When we talk about this pit, where's the map? And the map is somewhere here. Yeah, over this pit. And we ask, when will it fill in this entire pit? Well, normally this would have been rock crusted over, and the red would have been a magma chamber underneath. And pressure building up in this magma chamber would have done what? It would have begun to force the magma down one of the two rift zones, where it most often has these side vents like Fukuoka. And so we know that given the rift zone, there's somewhere here there's pipes. In fact, you can look at these craters. Did you see these craters going off here? You see these craters going this side, and you see the cracks going this side. We know that there are channels where magma can go.
Right.
And normally this would have been capped over, and that magma would be trying to go there and saying, well, why do I have to go all the way to the top? Why don't I just go down the side? One of these two spots again. And so when we started seeing where is it? This happening. We're saying, it's actually coming from the side. In fact, this spot was about halfway up. This was halfway up the side of that pit.
This is literally what I
Where
was
the
saying
magma-
for weeks. It's gonna come out a side. Damn it.
Yes,
Aw.
and it developed into quite a spectacular
Should've
bit
committed.
of stuff where. So you can see now it's coming up. There's bits here, and here, flowing down in. So this became the major source of new lava because there's so much stuff on the lava lake, making it hard for magma to go up against itself.
Yeah. Half of least resistance.
And it really. And so now we saw around on the 16th or so, we saw that about halfway up, maybe a third, but because it's kind of the wall is kind of higher here than on the other side, but it had come to the side and was pouring into the lake. And if this was solid crusted over and this was the magma chamber, this might have been the magma finding a weak spot and working its way down one of the channels.
It was so close to becoming the volcano whisperer. I was so close.
Yes.
So close to becoming the Madam Pele.
So I had
You gods were whispering to you,
heads up.
Shesh, and you ignored them.
God damn it.
So and we think that at some point over eruption, continued eruptions where this pit will get higher and higher. At some point, it's going to be easier for the magma to go to the side and down. Because remember, again, and you look at the map here. Where's the map? Now. We look at the map. It's going to either go this way to the around down the east rift zone, or it's going to go to the southwest or combination. Well, this spot was kind of in the direction of the southwest.
Southwest, yeah.
And there's all these cracks here, so it might have been just speculation that had the upper magma chamber not been exposed and had been capped over, the magma would have begun its cracking the rock and moving down the southwest zone. Why not the east? Well, it did that in that 5.5 year eruption. That thing has kind of cooled down and hardened. Whereas this is closer and easier to force its way through. So we might have seen eruptions along this side. If anyone goes to the industrial park, I would recommend, and drives the Chain of Crater Road down toward the ocean. It's a nice thing. You'll go through some amazing rock formations of the eruptions of 69, 70, 74. Where it really poured out on the southwest rift zone, and that might have been the spot. But we don't have the cap on the top. We have this odd lava lake. So as I say, it started going on the side here, and I had a colleague take a time lapse, or not a time lapse, but take a long exposure, and they showed this as the set of it. So you get the notion of
right out of a
material.
sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
That's
so cool.
Obviously, you wouldn't see that like that, but it's an exposure. And they spent they put a filter in front of it and spent about a 15-minute
This is an artist's
exposure.
impression, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if I could paint something like that. Might have to try one day.
So giving you the notion of just how. So this side vent was kind of exciting because again it kind of led credence to people saying, things got to start forcing its way up the side because the lava lake is an impediment to lava, ironically, and so probably the next evening, that this beautiful little thing was taken.
It's a high-res image.
Next thing, side event was going along, and it just went, I'm done. All done. As my niece used to say. All
Later,
done.
peasants.
All done. Put on a fabulous show and then just like, all right, time for a nap.
Da, da, da.
Yeah, it's a set here where this is on the morning of the 22nd.
Yep.
Where it just this was the morning of the 22nd. The eruption paused on the 19th, so it started on the 7th, and they say paused on the 19th. Now, the problem with saying it's paused is that you could be wrong, right? How could you be wrong? Well, and so we're seeing this is what it looks like. It's again that previous thing. Not more than a couple hours after that picture was taken, it stopped. And if you look at the spot, it's definitely, you've got this soft lava that's sort of now outgassing. This is the pudding crust, and it begins to deform, begins to crack.
Not
because
hungry.
it's still outgassing and doing a souffle thing. And in fact, the sound people talk about on here, because there's a lot of silicon, a lot of glass. You hear it sounds like glass breaking, things shattering. As this stuff that's got all this gas and expanded is now contracting and hardening, and this nice pillar thing is going to continue to break up and crack. If you look at from a thermal map, it's like we're done. And in fact, if you ask what's happening right now, we look here, the volume is at 100.
Oh, way
it was
down.
like 100 and where's the number here? I thought it was like 140 tons per day.
Back to normal breathing.
Right? Yeah. It's not much. I mean, so 160 tons on this on the 5th.
What's the
on the 22nd? It's on the 22nd.
What did the
so 160 tons per day. So we're back down from there. If you look at what was happening, they were seeing again, volumes where it was in the like 40, 50, 60,000 tons per day when it was going. So let's look at what the tilt meter looks like.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Last day, you kind of see a little bit of deflation events.
Love me a good graph.
We see some wiggly stuff here.
Look at this.
We see kind of a DI event over a matter of days, but here's the thing. Notice the scale, right? This is not a DI over a microradian. This is coming down.
Tight.
It peaked about 30 or 40 microradians just before the eruption started, and it climbed down.
Graph.
And we have these little DI events as this thing is kind of it going. Now, what happened to the GPS? Well, we had this was a previous eruption, and it expands and expanded again. So we're on this expansion phase.
Yep.
Right. It's not there. This is the end of the last drop. Remember, it used to be this giant spike with the last 2018 sort of 5.5 year eruption ended, and we had this eruption, and now we have this eruption.
Yeah.
Well. So it is still expanding. In fact, it's slightly above. This is the length of the caldera, right? So it's slightly stretched more than when it started from last time.
Wow.
But probably because the magma, a lot of the dissolved gases came out of solution, we have a bunch of stale magma sitting on the top. That doesn't have the ability to push its way through the rock on the top just yet.
Right.
So if we look at the image now, you see this sort of thing, and this is just a matter of you just have this large boiling lake of lava that's now kind of cooling and crusting over. The side vent is stopped, but there's still a lot of stuff that's outcasting. In fact, if you look at a live picture, this is what it looks like right now. Let's go to and here's the side vent. That's maybe about a third of the way up. That came out here. Okay, we switched over to the new spot. You can see, there was some. This is not really an island. These were some of the fountains that were going on the previous spot there. It looks gassy, but it's not really gassy. This is more fog. The camera sort of switches back and forth.
Very cool.
So
it's so cool having live footage of this because, like, this is recent. Like, we don't even have this at every volcano. It's like
no.
it's very cool to have.
You won't see that at the White
kind
Island.
Right. Well, that too.
Yes. I mean, for volcanoes that have pose hazards as opposed to Kilauea, which does pose hazards to people around the area, but it's not around a huge population center. They should be as well monitored as this one is. We're fortunate that Kilauea are most well monitored. Even so, it can surprise us. Now, it's not true to say this was completely unexpected. We expected it to erupt at some time. We saw within hours of the lava in the fountain in the middle, the tilt meter go off. So we saw the indicators coming. We saw that there's lots of seismic activity and deflation events, DI events. So we knew that the mountain was not going into a dormant type phase.
Not yet.
We were just surprised at how rapidly it went from not erupting to erupting, and
Veracity.
how much material came up.
Viscosity. Veracity is the right word, not viscosity. Words.
Veracity.
Words and shit.
You got it, Chesh. You got it.
I can't be trusted. It's one of
as I
those
say,
days.
Right now, we kind of see anemic DI events, but we do see evidence lower down of magma chamber turnover. Not much gas coming out. In fact, the gas is about the same as just before the eruption. And so is that because the gas pressure underneath is still building? Well, this mountain size, the distance across this caldera is still stretching. In fact, it's if anything, it's stretched tighter than it was before the previous eruption. The difference is a whole bunch of gas came out, pushing a whole bunch of magma to become lava on the top, which normally would have just been a magma chamber swollen. That might have gone to the side if it wasn't for the fact that we got this hole. So at some point, this lava lake will get so high of rock that it's easier for the magma to go to the side.
It'll go down
up through the middle.
Yeah.
Except that it's also the top of what would have been the magma chamber, so it might crack open and still come up the top.
That's so cool. Damn. Keep an eye out for birds.
So, this gas area is enough that actually they've sent geologists down to take samples. It's low enough levels that someone with proper gas masks and registers can go in there and
very cool.
do things. However, it is not recommended to walk on this thing. It's still quite hot.
Yeah.
And
I cannot
given
tell
how
you
fast,
enough, guys.
Do not try this at home.
Yeah, do not swim in lava. Do not even contemplate body surfing.
Oh God.
you'll scratch yourself.
We-
But you know, if you dug down in the spot, you'd find liquid rock down there, just a little bit below the surface. It'll continue to kind of outgas, and you start to see the cracks. It'll start to crack because it is contracting and breaking up. That'll make it easier for the next time gas pressure builds up to the point of boiling.
We are at the hour mark. Do you want to take a quick break and then come back?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, so we're just going to go on a quick break. We'll be right back with more volcanoes. See you in a minute.
All right.
Break time.
Hey, yo, welcome back. Maanya's being slow, so we're just gonna start without her. Ha 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 ha. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found this interesting and informative, and I hope you've been joining us. We've been doing this for a year now, so if there's anything you want to know about volcanoes or anything you think we haven't covered, please let us know, either in the comments or in the live chat. And if you have any questions, just please make sure that you tag me in the live chat so that way I make sure that I actually do see your question. But thank you so much for supporting and the lovely members and Patreons, of which I will be updating this list later today. Landon!
So how would someone tag you just for that in the chat?
I use the @ sign and then put in CHESH.
So they would say like, hi, CHESH. That.
Yeah!
Just
You were
in case
saying?
somebody...
I was talking
Hi,
shit about
Mom.
Maanyaa and she could hear me the whole time. I got my eyes on
So the I guess lessons learned. I should have also probably. Let me just give a little bit more. Do a little bit more on this. Hang on, share this last bit of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here. So if we look at the evolution of this sort of 12-day eruption, where it started off thermal camera with all kinds of vents, then turning into favoring a couple of vents where the other vents could kind of get drowned, to the stuff off to the side, to finally
Yeah, it's getting drawn that direction.
That little spot down here. So that's part of that set. Go ahead.
Does that indicate that the southeastern side, from where one of those spines are present, they are getting clogged up and there's no space on that side? That's why it's moving to southwest, is it? Or is it just the topography of the whole area has changed and encouraging the flow to use that incline on the other side?
I mean, probably the topography has changed. Certainly it has, because given the whole summit collapse thing, and I think you're right that had not had a collapse, so this would have been an underground magma chamber that had trouble reaching up through the top and then up through the rock layer, that it might have gone down the southwest zone to some extent. And in fact, certainly within the last 50 years, it's done that a couple of times. Would this particular event been one of those eruptions? I don't know that it had the staying power, but Kilauea has had small, short eruptions like this before. I mean, people think that every time it erupts it's going to be 35.5 years. No. And now it's true that if you looked over the sort of historical records that we have, plus the experience from the Polynesians, about half the time Kilauea is erupting. So if you just pick a random spot in history, you have a 50% chance that Kilauea is erupting at that time. Now,
the chance is probably above 50%.
Yeah. Now, don't get into the gambler's fallacy of it's been going for 35.5 years. It's going to stop because I don't know. That's not how probability.
Volcanoes don't care about time.
I'm just saying, Kilauea is one of the most active volcanoes on the planet, but so is Mount Erebus, which is always continuing erupting, or Mount Stromboli, or Mount Etna areas of volcanoes that are sort of the common set of things. So, as part of the answer to the question would be complex, is because had this been a magma chamber with a rock cap and the caldera floor was there, it's likely that gas that came up, this gas bubble that came up to cause a 12-day eruption, would have been still down there, forcing magma someplace. Would it have broke up the top and had a nice fountain? Would it have gone to the side? That's sort of, I don't know. That's a bit of, I guess we wouldn't call it historic fiction. Is that geology fiction?
I like it. I like it. We do have a question from Atlas in the chat that says, how does one make a volcano love you back? I know one that's pretty temperamental in Hawaii, and I want her to feel the same way.
I would say that going there, experiencing the multimedia sensory event in a respectful way is a good way to enjoy a volcano. These
I would
pictures,
say,
as spectacular they are, miss the sound.
In my experience, I would say that your best way to get a volcano to love you back and enjoy the love that you have with that volcano is just to be there when you can be there and love it while it lasts. And then it will come and go as it pleases, and you have to let it be free.
Let it go.
Don't place demand saying you got to continue erupting, right? It would be a bad thing for people who saw this eruption, Martial eruption, booked a flight to Hawaii, booked hotels, only to arrive and find that Madam Pele is taking it out.
Don't try and go for like tourism and prediction on Madam Pele's expense. She is going to prove you wrong every fucking time.
Quite frankly, I think Alicia had the best answer out of all of us. Alicia said, "Tell her you lava her." But yes!
Oh, that's so cute. That's from Maanyaa. That song. Oh my god, I love that song. I love it.
Tell her you
and the way they have like
her.
they've got with the filming and the whole like animation of two lava. Oof.
I think it's appreciating the volcano in all its various states, right? So
if you don't love me at my, you don't deserve me at my.
Yes, exactly. And is there a reason to go and visit the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii now? Yes. What are the odds that if you go right now that you might see lava going whoosh? Low, but you would see right in the daytime going up to the overlooks. You would see this. You would see, and you would also feel because lava and volcanoes are more than just pictures, right? There are vibrations. There is the thermal heat. There are the sounds. There are the smells and stuff. Although Kilauea is a very not a stinky volcano. There's not many spots you can actually find sulfurous things. Just don't stick your head down the vent. But to
don't go after the voices.
If you went to the Volcanoes National Park now, fly into Hilo, get a rental car, drive the 40 minutes up to the Volcanoes National Park, pay your entrance fee, which is like $20, $30 like that, and you have a pass for the week, and just go there and enjoy experience stuff. Go and take a picnic up to one of the observation points and have a nice picnic and just sit there and enjoy and absorb. You have now a lot of, if you've seen some of these shows, you have a lot of context where now when you see that context in person, you feel it, you smell it, you hear the vibration of the voice, you will get a much deeper appreciation for what Madam Pele is doing.
Keep in mind that it's also a good idea to respect the culture, which we have learned about on this show. Make sure that you pay attention to where you are and who you're around and know your audience and, generally follow respectable customs.
Yeah. If they tell you to do something or not to do something, follow that.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Don't assume.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, why is it so hard? Don't be calling them.
So as I say, you would see these sites, and there's also trails in the park that you could walk. It has an amazing vegetation, and you can see the landscape. Drive down Chain of Craters Road to the ocean edge, and see some of those stuff on the southwest zone of the. There's rock formations. They're just extraordinary of that flow.
Take a sketchbook.
In time going down the cliff.
Take a sketchbook instead of a camera.
Yeah, that will be better. Much better.
Experience and pay attention to what you're seeing, right? Now,
Yep.
there will be a bunch of pictures and movies coming out of this impressive 12-day eruption thing, and you can probably even go to the visitor center and see, and even buy movies and so forth. But if you go there and experience it yourself, and just sit there and watch and feel and experience the system, I would say that's probably the best way to appreciate, to get a volcano to lava view, even when the volcano is currently paused.
Very cool.
Earthquake-wise, not much is happening. There's this Pahala thing, but these are deep quakes. You look at the filter again over the last 7 days. If you look at that's the last day, right? There's just a couple of those down there. This is the area where the deep mantle plume, hotspot plume, is coming up, and Kilauea is here. Maanyaa was there. Maanyaa. This is so you can see it's relatively quiet at the summit. So, unlike pre-eruption, remember we saw there was a whole pile of earthquakes on the previous show up here to the summit, and we saw DI events, and we saw it stretching. Well, now it's stretched even more, but there's lack of earthquakes, but there's maybe DI events. I don't know if you call that a DI event. If we go back and look at that, so we can do it again. There's kind of, but these are like tenths of a microradian. This is not very DI thing. This is more atrial fibrillation than.
It's just a matter of it's important. Function. It's important to understand and learn and pay attention when things aren't explosive, so that way we can understand more about it when it is explosive.
Yes. And go, so again, and we see that there's basically, this is that, not the 12-day eruption, but the previous eruption where we were showing, nice things from the show, and it's stopping, and it's back up. Size-wise, it expanded. Drum is now tight, if not tighter than it was previously, but it's not erupting. And if you go to the Volcano National Park now and experience it directly, not by taking out your cell phone and taking pictures, but looking, smelling, touching, look at the vegetation.
Don't swim in the lava, though. Don't touch the lava.
Yeah, no.
That's and it's very safe to do that. But walking down some of the trails and seeing just how vigorous life is coming back. Places like at Pu'o, where it was a what looks like a complete devastation from the 1980s, now has life and plants and so forth growing out through these harsh rock systems. So you can watch life coming back with a vengeance after this rich nutrients have been put out into the wild.
Yeah.
And so if you go there now, even though it's not erupting, then you'll appreciate it much more than when Madam Pele does something, 5-10 years from now. You'll say, "Wow, I remember what it looked like." Da, 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 da. And you go back again and you see the place has changed by life coming back in certain spots, by rock coming this way, or lava.
If you're not there while the volcano is at its most at its highest velocity, you're not actually missing anything. You haven't missed anything if you go when it doesn't happen to be erupting. In fact, if you go before an eruption and after an eruption and not during an eruption, is when you're likely to be able to take in the most amount of information.
Yeah, because there is a huge difference between what's happening around the volcano before and after the eruption. During the eruption, there's no point because you won't know what it will end in. So it's better that you go after the eruptions have settled down and you take a look and you observe what were the differences before and kind of appreciate, how the volcano functions.
Yeah. I agree, and that's a thing about kind of understanding volcanoes that are this active, as opposed to something that might erupt every couple of centuries. Right? You get to see the cycle, the geologic cycle, plus the cycle of life. Right. That's the other part that is quite amazing, is to go with maps and say, here's the 1974 flow. Here was in 1991, and you look to see, you begin to see, hey, you can date a lava flow by how much life has come back and how big the shrubs and trees and grasses are.
Interesting.
We've actually talked about something. I talked about something with like that with Maddie when we were talking about the fires that had gone on, and we were talking about how most like local government has years and years and years worth of weather data, and it's weather data that's publicly available weather data, and it's something that like you would think that you would know. That you might like, it might be a good idea for you to invest a little bit of time and go check out where, like, how your local weather has been over the past 50 years and see where there's been changes and what matters, and kind of so that way you are generally prepared for the general location that you live in, the same way you would a volcano.
And it's good to look into that data, especially when you're trying to buy homes in a region where you're new, in a region where you have rivers around you, farmlands and rivers around you, beaches, estuaries, and yeah, it's very good. Even hills, because you want to see where the landslides have occurred due to heavy rainfall and all that stuff. So that was I was actually kind of doing when I was thinking of buying a property around here. So, and one of my managers suggested me, you might want to look into the weather patterns and the flooding that's happened, where it's happened, and what the local government has done to stop all that. So you know where, if you're buying a house in this area, you're going to be there for some time. Because
Smitty out here giving Ben Shapiro advice.
Oh God, no!
Sell your home to Aquaman.
No, God.
So
Bridge of the Divide asked a question.
Tide goes out.
That says. Bridge of the Divide just had a question that says, expert opinion on Dante's Peak and volcano description.
Dante's Peak and volcano description. I'm trying to think. What do you think the question is in there?
They're talking about So there's a movie that had Pierce Brosnan in it called Dante's Peak, and the imagery in the movie is, let me see if I can pull up, like, I feel like the synopsis is probably not gonna help. So
okay,
you know what?
I'll movies.
Yeah. So it's like a volcanologist arrives at a countryside town recently named in the second most desirable place to live in America and discovers that a long-term dormant volcano called Dante's Peak may wake at any moment. And I think that it's one of those things where it's like, unless you're really, really, really not paying attention, a volcano just doesn't kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Now, if you're like the government
and it's
New Zealand
and
not paying attention to one of the 10 most hazardous volcanoes in the world, let tourists go there. How? Well, but at least now they're trying to monitor it. The point is, unlike, for example, the state of Washington, which would prefer to not know detailed information about what Mount Baker and Mount Rainier are doing. Mount Rainier is, again, one of the 10 deadliest, or the top most deadliest volcanoes, because of what it can do in its proximity to a city like Tacoma.
Are there?
So there are this ignorance of that stuff. But go ahead.
I have a question. So are there any? I guess are there any volcanoes that are not being monitored that are around, like, any kind of village or city or civilization that's active but not being monitored, except New Zealand? Leave White Island out of that.
So if you go to Wikipedia and look up the term decade volcanoes, you will see a set of 60 volcanoes are identified as most worthy of study because of their destructive eruptions and proximity to densely populated areas. And these are sort of volcanoes that are, because there's lots of volcanoes and many of them erupt all the time. These were particularly pointed out where they were saying, hey, we have a volcano with a pattern of eruption, sometimes quite cranky or quite voluminous, and they're near, population. I mean, many volcanoes will live near because it's rich farmland. I mean, a lot of the North Island, New Zealand, is just essentially volcanic fields, but it's not. But these are specific things that become quite a potential problem.
Well, there's
now, I was going to say there's other volcanoes that are also dangerous, but these are ones that they say, this program to say, hey, we should be monitoring this stuff, and and then the governments have to then do something about the data.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, the state of Washington much prefers to not know what Mount Rainier is doing and not take active steps to try and deal with the center of Tacoma.
Well, I wonder if Mount Rainier. I wonder if Mount Rainier was the reference volcano for this movie, because the Dante's Peak is in Washington, according to the movie.
Yeah. Well, Mount St. Helens was also in Washington.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So that's another. Yeah. So it's a and obviously it's a fictional thing.
Yeah. It specifies that it's supposed to be a dormant stratovolcano in the movie.
Yeah. Well, look at how difficult it is to make precise predictions about Kilauea, even though the amount of monitoring stuff is in history, it far exceeds any other volcano there. It's difficult enough. One of the things that you should take away from these shows is that volcanoes have a pattern, a rhythm, and when they change pattern, something's happening and try to figure out what it is. You may not be able to do it, but it.
Well, trial and error. We'll figure it out one day.
And so, why would you look like Mount Etna, or look at something like the Colombian volcano, and so forth? Why would you pick those? Because again, they are active. They have a history of doing things, and their proximity to major population centers. Now, by the way, Mauna Loa is on that list too. Not because Mauna Loa will go boom, but because towns like Hilo are set in the thing, and we saw on the show
at the feet.
Mauna Loa took off, and the stuff was pouring down to the major highway, but stopped.
Yep.
But in '83, it took off to the side and came up to the the outskirts of the suburbs of Hilo, and then stopped.
There's a couple of descriptors in this movie from what I'm looking at on the Wikipedia, and I'd be curious to know how accurate they are to be indicative of a volcano. So it says, while exploring, they find dead trees. Are dead trees common to find in a volcano that hasn't been active for a long time and is going to be active? Because, I mean, volcanoes actually tend to be very good for foliage.
So there's two types of, there's volcanoes that you didn't know were active but are reactivating. And there's also dormant volcanoes that are in the process of going extinct. If you look at Mauna Kea, which is now, I consider a dormant volcano, not extinct, but it has little blisters, little cinder cones around the side. And part of it because the magma chamber underneath Mauna Kea is contracting, it's cooling down, and sometimes that gas gets squeezed in there and forces it up in the spot. So you get a one-time eruption. You saw the same thing in Maui, in Maunyaa, where you have these one-time eruptions, because it's kind of like you still got this pockets of dissolved gases and pressure.
Gotta go somewhere. Yeah.
And some of those find a weak spot, have eruption, but it's not a Kila type eruption that's going to be indicative of a whole bunch of things. But it's that one-time cone that goes there, splatters, does a bunch of stuff, and then stops. So you have the dormant volcanoes on the aging side, and you have the active volcanoes. But the active volcanoes can be something like Haleakala Haleakala is in Maui, and Bualai is in the Big Island. It's something that hasn't erupted in the last 200 years.
Right.
But it still is active, right? There still is a magma chamber. There's still turnover. It's just not as vigorous as Mauna or Kilauea. So when you're monitoring a volcano, you need to have the sensor network and the time. We need time in order to understand the behavior of a volcano. That's what's unfortunate about what's going on in White Island, is that they put in sensors,
not enough monitoring,
but those sensors got destroyed. It's a difficult environment, and they need to have a program where they can put in sensors and monitor over a longer time, so that when they see something change, they can step back and say what might be happening. Even though you can't,
so we wouldn't expect
exactly.
So we wouldn't expect to find dead trees. Like, dead trees would be completely unrelated. The next one it offers is dead squirrels.
Yeah, dead squirrel. I mean, if you've got a place where volcanic gases are coming up, and then you will see impacts on vegetation and wildlife. We saw that the rift zones that were on the very far edge of Hawaii on the eastern side prior to the spectacular lava flow that came out there began to crack open, right? Gases coming up and
splattered everywhere.
Right. And so there is that process of things. If you have a hot spring that is
Landon's jumping ahead.
The next one more gassy.
Yeah, the next one was 2 people boiled to death in a hot spring. That sounds kind of fantastical. That sounds movie.
That
that's
sounds like some people were kind of stupid. It's not a matter of like you can go to Yellowstone.
So the synopsis is that a volcano that was being considered dormant is gonna explode, right? That's what it was. The synopsis.
Yeah.
So one, they're not doing the job of monitoring the volcano, I guess, or something has happened underneath that whole plate. Something shifted or something like that.
It gets a little bit silly because the next half is Harry instructs Paul to bring a USGS team to monitor the volcano, but their initial survey finds no indications of volcanic activity.
That's bullshit.
And it's I don't think that would work.
Then they got someone that were pretending to be that team.
So there are volcanoes that are go into several century period of quiet and reactivate, and sometimes they can go from quiet to unrest very quickly.
Yeah, true.
And in the cases of like hot springs, I mean, you can go to Yellowstone and actually swim the Yellowstone River, and there's spots where the water is nice and warm. There's spots where you would get scolded, and you just have to be. And the park rangers sort of say, this is you got to be careful because you can be swept down the thing into a spot where you're going to be poached as opposed to
cooked alive.
Yeah.
As opposed to going a hot tub.
The next one is that there is somebody who gets stuck in a rock slide, and I don't know how there would be a rock slide without and a volcano with no seismic activity. So unless there's like rainfall or something like that. The next one is the town's water supply gets contaminated with sulfur dioxide.
Again, if you're monitoring the part of monitoring area, you have you're looking for gas emissions, right? They knew about the fissures on the very southeast corner of the island, southeast corner, because there were earthquakes marching down the spine.
Yep.
The Pu'o had stopped erupting. The tilt meters were going bonkers as this bulge of stuff was forcing its way underneath, and they were gases coming up where you can start to detect the level of stuff. And of course, the native Hawaiians say, "Time to go on a vacation." And
yeah, this looks like it's set up to have happened over the course of like a couple of days before the volcano erupts. And then with the eruption, it says earthquake strikes and the eruption begins, which is just bad language because the eruption would have already started. And then the cabin is just blah blah blah. 5 people flee across a lake in a motorboat, but the boat is disabled meters from shore due to sulfur containing gases dissolving in the water to form sulfuric acid, which destroys the boat's motor and threatens to rapidly corrode its hull.
Hold on. if there's like sulfuric acid that's forming, that's gonna corrode your metal that swiftly, your humans will be dead before that.
Yeah, you're not.
Your lungs will have.
Are gonna be dead before that. There are no humans to travel on that boat.
Yeah.
They got it the other way around.
Well, they're saying that the sulfuric acid is destroying the boat's motor and threatens to rapidly corrode its hull. And what does the woman do? Jumps out of the boat to help it to shore.
Okay, that was stupid too.
Because the human body is gonna corrode slower than the boat hull.
Yeah, honey. So there's also another thing. Unless this has been happening for quite some time. People have not been swimming in that lake, and the boat has been there stagnant, and the water has become acidic over time, maybe 3 to 4 months, maybe then we can expect that. But if it's just suddenly over 1 to 2 days that's happened, no, you will easily make it across.
There would also be a whole lot of dead fish in that water.
Yes.
Dead fish, plus you gotta wear your respirators. If you're not wearing your respirators, you're gonna not make it. Your boat might make it across the lake. You're not gonna make it across the lake. So,
to be fair,
I was so disappointed that my ability to wear my respirators during the COVID thing was a problem because people would look at it and say, "That's not an N95 mask," and I say, "Yes, this is a mask that I can wear next to a volcanic event where there's fluorine and fluorofluor compounds that would kill me."
Your story.
And this thing now looks, and it was like, I had a supermarket person, come to me and say, "You're scaring the customers. Could you leave?" Because I had a mask on because I did not want other people's stuff into my lungs, especially we didn't understand the transmissibility of it. But that's it. That's a different story.
So, to be fair, the woman suffers severe chemical burns and eventually dies of a massive cardiac arrest and shock after gruesomely and graphically losing both of her legs, wading in the acid in excruciating prolonged pain.
No.
So the thing that doesn't really make sense here is that if the sulfuric acid was that bad, she wouldn't be able to breathe and everybody would be dead before ever getting to this point, and you would need a lot more sulfur to contaminate an entire lake like that. Then the last one is they take a Forest Service Ranger's truck and continue down the mountain to save a dog as they cross a lava flow. In the Jeep.
Okay, so no. You travel like 3 to 5 meters into that, and your Jeep is gonna get stuck. That's what's gonna happen. The temperatures are so high. You are not going to go across. No. Too fantastic. Come on, man. And also to save a dog. So instead of like. So they didn't have any fire services in that area, or rangers. I guess
you have to save the dog. You have to.
Yeah.
It's legal. You're obligated. On the other hand, I'm not gonna lie. That's actually a lot better for a disaster movie than I was expecting. Like the representation of what to expect to see from a volcano is actually not bad. Like the lake is a little bit much, But like the dead trees, the squirrels, just the fact that there would be sulfuric acid or sulfur in the area is all pretty well done, in my opinion.
But
what do you think, Landon? You're the expert.
Well, yeah, I think again, you find that the producers and the people worrying about the residuals of the video game that they want to try to make would prefer more dramatic stuff and less factual stuff.
Well, and it's hard to it's especially like in the era that movie came out in, which was I believe what did I say 1998, whatever I said. You're gonna have you can do a lot of interesting things with having gas as the threat, but you have to keep that like it has to be treated properly, and it's a lot more difficult to do than it is to have a physical threat. So if you want to make the sulfuric gas a threat, you're gonna have a lot easier time if you make it in a visual format or a visual medium, such as a movie. Mask looks so intense.
Yeah. And so that was convenient too. It was very effective in keeping out biocritters, but it was socially unacceptable. So
socially unacceptable. How many layers of filters do you have in there? My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the hydrofluoric acid and sulfuric acid.
You got organic filters. You've got filters for
organic and I got carbon stuff, and I've been trained how to use it and how to test it and how to fit it. Not the little tin.
It's supposed to seal your entire face properly, or else it's not gonna work. And having a beard is not gonna help you, even if it's like trimmed to the face. Nah, it's not gonna work. You need to be clean shaven.
Yeah, my side head isn't even good enough. You would need to actually clean shave it. This is just no guard. Yeah, you would need to take like a proper razor to it.
But when we approached the volcano,
so hold on. Question about your mask. So it's a half face respirator, is it, or is it full face?
There's a full face. But
so
you saw the.
So where do your glasses go?
There's a set that what you saw was the picture pre-shield, right? Putting the shield on.
Okay.
So there's an inner respirator and there's a shield that goes over the glasses as well.
Can you send me the picture of that?
Okay.
Because why I'm asking you is because we have this like trouble with our people who do fumigation and stuff, right, inside chillers, and they have to like come in and out of chillers, and most of them are experienced older people like Landon, and they wear glasses, and we want to find something for them that works for them so that it's fitted properly. So if I can see what you're wearing, maybe I'll get some ideas.
Maanya's just doing her goddamn real life job right now. What the fuck?
Having goggles that come around, or you have to go to the whole head thing.
Okay.
But having a goggles that shield where the pinch point is back by your ears.
Okay.
So it's like almost like you got a ski mask, but ski mask is big enough the glasses and go inside. And do that with a half respirator, or but again, you need something that's nose and mouth.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to this thing exhausted on the out as well as the end, right? Those filters on both sides.
Positive air pressure, I guess.
Because of that part of the thing is that if you on those things where you just have a flat valve for exhaling, that valve is not completely solid, right? And so if you have hydrofluoric acid and you get a little bit of you're toast.
Vlad is asking about fogging, and if I'm understanding correctly, basically this part is separated from this part, so therefore there wouldn't be any fogging.
Which is why I like
which is even better
for that. But again, it's not right that they don't understand it. So I have to go to a doctor's office and exchange that with a N95 mask. But because the hospital
People wouldn't be able to recognize it.
executives said you have to wear an N95 mask because they're dealing with people who knit a little chin diaper and say that's good enough.
Oh God! Oh gosh.
Well, that and you need to like the average person needs to be able to recognize it, and that is a lot for the
Not
average
get
person to
panicked
be able
and
to
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, people get panicked.
Well, not even panicked,
when
but
you're-
if you like, not even panicked. Like you got your frontline workers who are not going to be that well trained in PPE to be able to recognize that what Landon was using was legitimate compared to somebody fucking around.
Yes, and that's kind of the part of the set of issues, which is that you really need to have a system. So you have various sort of things here, like this is an example of a beginning set here where you've got the basic set here with the filters.
Is it 3M? What company is it?
This is 3. Yeah, this is 3M.
Why am I here?
I took over your stream session.
And this one also is a 3M is this part here. These canisters are by North.
Okay.
We have for these things like this guy here. There's also the another item.
I got more questions coming.
We should do we should do a volcano PPE stream, to be honest.
Yes,
that's a gas detector.
Yes, because you need this because it's a matter of that even if you have a gas mask on,
that's a personal one that stays on you.
Get to be extremely naughty. You say, let's not check to see if the gas mask is working.
Yeah, you can't take it off to check. You're like, oh, okay, out of here.
let's get go. But this detector has expired. And there are also units like for this is these ones here we didn't like because they didn't produce a good enough seal. So those
they also tend to get really they don't work. The water vapors kind of shit them up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not good water vapors.
And definitely in a humid environment, some of those detectors aren't there. So there's kind of a set, and so they're just doing something like this with a gas detector in an area where there's trace amounts of gas, and an alarm that goes off and says gas levels are rising. Do you want to stay here and collect data, or do you want to leave? Answer well.
I think it should be a shock collar instead of alarm because people get used to the alarms after a time. They just get used to it, and they start zoning them out.
Yeah, but people are into shocks. That's just not.
I'm joking.
But that's part of the thing of a team going to do something. There's someone whose job it is they're not involved in collecting samples or anything.
Yeah, so it's like a confined space thing, right? When you have someone inside and then there's someone on the outside who's monitoring the person in the inside, and then there's sometimes a couple of people on standby just in case. So it's something like that.
And when the signal is to evacuate, we'll leave. And there is the drop whatever's in your hands and get out now, right?
Yeah.
And when this person makes the call, you do it, right? That's no questions.
Yeah, there's no let me they showed it in. I think so. Was it Interstellar? I think so. They were they were in the middle of a sea and they were trying to get some data or something like that from one of the drones, and they see this huge tidal wave coming. And the lady's like, no, I'm getting that data, while the guy who's in charge is telling her to come the fuck back. And she's like, nah, I'm going to walk right into that tidal wave, that's hundreds of meters high, because that planet was 6 times the size of Earth and everything. No, I need that data. I guess it depends on the desperate situations, all the kind of.
You don't.
But yeah,
and
you can get data later again. For fuck's sake.
Because I had a time where. There was a fairly expensive camera that had not yet been attached to the tripod, and we got the evac drop, which means drop what you're doing, and you're back now, right?
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't a matter
Tell
of
me what you
it's
did.
like I let go of the camera, turned around, it fell on the ground, and we evacuated. Right? And now it turned
R.I.P.
out that it
camera.
fell on its side, and the camera was relatively rugged, and it survived
Oh, okay.
the fall. But it's not recommended by treatment. But I think, but that's mean to say when you have that dropping back means whatever you have, you let go and you are going, right? It's not
Okay.
a question of hesitation when that and also someone else even farther behind is monitoring all the sensors and saying, if the volcano is doing this stuff, if it quiets down, you back off. If it gets more noisy, you back off. If there's unusual pattern change, you back off.
Anything unusual, you get out of there. It's like too quiet.
Yes.
What? So yeah, so that's the similar that strategy is used for confined space. So I guess it's kind of similar like that because that whole environment is like kind of filled up with gas and stuff.
And they probably consulted people who do those sorts of things, like confined spaces, like you see a tank of stuff used for, let's say, in a winery, and it has danger things about that. Don't go inside the confined space because you don't know the level of air.
We are getting close to our 2-hour mark, just so you guys know. So we should probably look wrapping up.
Yeah, just send me a link to that one. What the shield that you wear, please. I would love to see that. Give me some ideas.
Well, God's Auditor was making kind of a comment about the PPE stuff that says military ones weren't quite that hardcore from what they remember. A little stubble would make it wouldn't make it useless or anything. Designed for the lowest common denominator. And yeah, that would make sense. Not everything needs to be as intense as when you're dealing with a volcano, especially since I think a lot of gas is against the Geneva Convention, if I'm not mistaken.
Question. One last question, I swear. When do you decide to switch the canisters? How do you decide to switch the canisters?
There is you date mark them, and it depends upon field conditions. So there's a safety officer that does field conditions. So if you were in a situation where the gas levels, wind change, the gas levels went way up, and you were evacuated. Let's say you get in your vac, and the gas masks are protecting you from hazardous conditions. What you might choose to do, and then you come back and you have to take them off because you just don't go and say, oh, now I'm fine, because you got stuff over it. You have to sort of decontaminate yourself as you take them off. Is that those things are then decided to be discarded. So if you have gas masks that have absorbed serious bad stuff, you if you have to evac because you had a major change of something and the alarms went off, then you don't know to what extent the canisters were affected.
Absorbed or got exposed to.
And the other thing is that sometimes material can work its way in to the system that you might not want to test.
I guess your environment is kind of very high variation, right? It goes suddenly up and down. The environment, the question I was asking because the environment I'm thinking about it is kind of consistent. It won't go, even if it does vary, if something goes wrong, the exhaust system stop working and something, it will gradually creep up. Not so that's why, and in that case, if people are coming in every day wearing the mask with the organic filters on, like how long before we need to switch the mask? And like I said, like because it was such a moisture filled environment, we had to like switch the mask every 3 days and the filters every 3 days because the filters were imbibing so much of moisture. So and after that we did a exposure monitoring, and then they said you don't need to go for those like heavy duty half-face respirators. Just go for like N95s, proper N95s with valves. You should be okay, which are lighter and which don't get moisture on them. So that's why I was asking. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and these things here
depends on
the ones. These are the ones that were used during pandemic. But I would replace them about every week because what I learned from the safety officer is that you're breathing out, you're shoving biomaterial up inside them, and they turn into basically mold petri dish things that some people can get lung problems because their stuff is being stopped on the way out or the way in, and so you want to clean these on a regular basis for that.
Now you know.
The safety officer would if you have an evac, you leave and you do your decontamination set.
Yeah, you gotta take the shower and shit. Yeah.
Then it's better to not take a chance and just replace the filters, replace the units, right? For that. So I guess the point is that again it depends on because when we have peak sorts of things and driving around, sometimes you're driving around to the site and your alarms go off because there's some air current, because there's some vent you didn't know that went off, but you drive past it, right? And you say, oh, there's some vent someplace, sometimes some crack in the ground is putting out stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Ash wants to
wrap. We gotta wrap up now. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. We are at the 2-hour mark, and I have to cut us off there. I'm so sorry. Perhaps we will do another one that it discusses what do you do if you happen to be dealing with a volcano all of a sudden? Surprise!
But prior to leaving, what's our predictions for next month?
More! I demand more!
I know what you demand, but what will Madam Pele be doing between now and the next show?
I think we're gonna see the same. I think we're gonna see the cycle restart. So I think we're going to see. No, we're not gonna see any booms like we just did. But I do think we're going to see we're gonna see a little movement that's gradually going to increase.
So movement, gradually increase. Would that include lava being on the surface?
Maybe the glow, you know how we sometimes see it, it doesn't come up and it's not even red, but it does shift. Yeah. That maybe, yeah. Yes. Okay. What do you two think?
I think she's gonna calm down and she's gonna be like, okay, I'm done.
So you expect that the pattern what is happening now will continue. To very, very low levels of gas.
Yeah.
And so I'm predicting that we won't see lava on the surface, but we will begin to see both earthquakes and deflation innovation events. So not that anemic sort of atrial fibrillation wiggly stuff. I think we will turn back to a pattern of seeing DI events and some earthquakes in the summit. So I would put it another way. I would be surprised if by next show there still is a earthquake-free summit zone. Right? We'll get some earthquakes, not to the point where it's going up and out, but I think there will be some resumption of earthquakes at the summit. And we will look at the tilt meters and see DI events. May not be as beautiful as the DI events when it's actually erupting, right? When we saw those really patterns, but we'll see the ebb and flow of stuff. I also predict that the GPS line, the expansion line, will show that the summit is continuing to expand, because I think there's no shortage of magma wanting to work its way up to the surface. So what we don't know is what is this magma chamber going to do, right? The magma chamber cap thing. How is it going to? Will it work its way around the side when it eventually erupts? We don't know yet, but I think by next show there'll be some resumption of earthquakes at the summit. Yeah. There'll be some DI events, but they won't be super strong like in the middle of an eruption. And the expansion at the summit will continue. I would be surprised or wrong if there's lava on the surface. So I isn't wrong if we saw a major, boing like we did last
Boing.
month.
All right, I'm gonna go through what we've got coming up. We have Dumpec Friday is going to be on Friday with me and Maanyaa. We're gonna be talking about diversity in dragons and that clown town. We've also got the Tavern on the 15th, which Maanyaa and Landon will be a part of, and we should see Dapper there as well. And there might be a free Thought Prophet Seamus sighting. He might be coming by to join us for that one. Yeah, I will be live.
That named Tavern is not a tavern, by the way.
Right, correct, not a tavern. Tuesdays, I'm live on Twitch, so you can go find me there, and there will be videos coming out throughout the week, so feel free to enjoy those if there's any particular topic that you're interested in. It's also possible that I might be live on Twitch later today because I missed my art stream yesterday, so I might be doing that tonight. So, links are in the description down below. Go find everybody there, and then you got something.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I was going to plug Dapper Dinosaur's show. Another thing I would recommend.
We plugged him already.
It's called A Different Bias. It's a YouTube channel where they do the gentleman does basically updates on what is going on in the former United Kingdom's politics and the Tories and other stuff there. I'm sure in the tavern we will mention something about the craziness going on in that spot.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Also, if you're interested in more volcano stuff and you want to look at what Landon was talking about earlier about Yellowstone, the link is in the description as well as in the chat right now. Please go check that out. We're going to get on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Bye.